Please welcome our chief guest, Mr. Ihsan Mustafa. Dear audience, please settle down. We're going to start the program in a while. Honorable dignitaries, invited guests, respected teachers and students, a very good morning and assalamu alaikum to one and all. There is a famous saying by Einstein, if we knew what it was we were doing, it would not be called a research, would it? It is on occasions like this that we get opportunities to test our knowledge and understandings. Today, we look forward to getting an exposure about what the best of brains think on this dynamic issue of emerging challenges for organizations in developing economies. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Safa Reyaz, and on behalf of Bahria Business School, I welcome you all to the 3rd International Conference on Emerging Challenges for Organizations in Developing Economies. It's a two-day event, and I take this grand opportunity to welcome you all and thank you for gracing this event by your presence. Dear audience, to formally start the event today, I will invite Mr. Munib Shahid from Islamic Studies Department, Bahria University, for the recitation of Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون أولئك عليهم صلوات من ربهم وأولئك هم المهتدون. 'A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. 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 'A'udhu billahi minash shai and we will test you with fear, hunger, disparity, and the loss of worldly desires and pleasures. And send glad tidings to those who are our patient servants. Those whom ever felt a calamity, they say, we belong to our Lord, and to Him we return. Indeed, those are the ones that deserve blessings sent upon them by their Lord. And indeed, they are rightly guided.
Jazakallah. Now, I request you all to please rise for National Anthem of Pakistan. Thank you, everyone. Please take your seats now. Ladies and gentlemen, as the chief guest of the event today, we have His Excellency Ihsan Mustafa Yurdakul, Turkish Ambassador in Islamabad. Ambassador Ihsan Mustafa Yurdakul is the Turkish ambassador in Islamabad since 2018. He is a career diplomat and started his diplomatic career from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Turkey in 1994. He has played a significant role in enhancing bilateral relations between Pakistan and Turkey and is actively engaged in academic activities at various educational institutes, including Bahria University Islamabad. Sir, we are honored to have you here. Dear participants, we are here for ECODE, a conference on emerging challenges for organizations in developing economies. The purpose is to highlight the challenges faced by the organization in developing economies and to discuss the prospective solutions for these challenges. This conference is divided into different themes, which are digital innovation and sustainable entrepreneurship, transformation and survival of businesses post-pandemic, digital infrastructure in global business, innovative learning for student access, emerging technologies and education for blended learning, CPEC, a perspective of regional connectivity, beyond CSR, integrated stakeholder engagement. Now, it is my humble request to the conference convener, Professor Dr. Muhammad Naveed, Dean Management Sciences and Principal, Bahria Business School, to please come on stage and share his words with us. Professor Dr. Muhammad Naveed.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The participants on the platform of the Bahria University, I would say that consistent with the academic progressions and the research excellence that we have from the discourse of the university, I want to engage your thoughts today towards another very, very important, the landmark. When I speak about the developments that are taking place in the world, so there are the few realizations, they are very important. The first realization that we have, that the change is constant. The second realization that comes towards the flexibility. You have to be very dynamic in your approach. But at the same time, we need to find out, you have to be very sustainable. So on this, the knowledge planet of the Bahria University, I want to extend my special words of thanks to the excellencies, very distinguished, the keynote speakers from the international fronts, the reps from the industry, the reps from the development sector, and the very seminal, the faculty and the research students. Becoming the part of these international platforms, becoming the part of these, the colloquiums, carnivals, different symposiums, that is coming up with the mindset of a takeaway. If I need to find out what are the successions we have when we have these international platforms, if our successions, they are just coming in terms of the number of participants that we have, in terms of number of the research paper they have been submitted, and we have the parallel sessions they have been engaged. So I would say this is not the area that we need to focus today. We are speaking the language of the impact today. We are speaking the language of the, what is the takeaway of the research, how your research is going into the hands of the economic and financial users. So from this perspective, remaining consistent with the academic and the research progressions, we are all set today to hold one of the important international conference that addressing the contemporary needs, the challenges which are associated with the organizations in the developing economies. We have to accept the new age, this new age that is having the obstinate base of the data. So this is the digital age, I would say. On the one side, we speak about the emerging technologies, but at the same time, the thing is which is more important, we are speaking about the impact which is associated. If we need to find out the thematic areas which are associated with this event, we speak about the sustainable environment, we speak about the dynamic leadership, we speak about how we are going to engage our research discourse with the improved decision making, with the productivity, with the predictability of the modeling of the organizations. We need to be very close to the thought of the validation of the research. Your research always, that is scientifically driven. Now this is the time to bring your research, this scientific drive, close to the economic reality. The research speaks the language of the economic reality when we have the application of the research. So with these, the way forwards, if I give you the bigger thought, let's have a close look into the developing economies of the world, emerging economies of the world, and the advanced economies of the world. What is the difference you could find? You can speak in terms of their inclusion, you can speak in terms of their happiness index, you can speak a lot about the developments in terms of their infrastructure and their GDP. But we never realize the significance that the developments that creates the difference between the economies, they have a base. And the name of that obstinate base, that is the knowledge economy. We are not going to contribute towards the knowledge economy. Now we have to realize the significance that we need to believe in the sharing of the knowledge economy. The shared culture, the shared values, the integration that we need to foster through certain special interest groups. My research, if it's not adding impact towards the development sector, not adding impact towards the corporate industry, so then I need to revisit myself. It was a time when we think about the change, we need decades to bring the change in the number of days. Now we are living in a new age. You need number of days to bring the change in the decades of the life. So this realization, where on the one side we are contributing towards the scientific developments, towards the academic progressions, but at the same time, we have to ensure that the research ideas, research innovations, research drives, they are traveling from the windows of your learning labs towards the use of the industry. So we need to coming up with the innovation in the minds. If I have the discourse with the classroom, if I have a discourse with my research participants, I'm not giving them the thought of the use of the research, the validation of the research. So believe me, we are not adding any impact. So with these bigger thoughts, what is the way forward that we have today? We have thematic areas, They are engaging your thoughts towards the parallel sessions that we have. Then we have one panel discussions that is speaking about the emerging technologies and the blended education, where we have the combination of the face-to-face and the e-learning. But at the same time, when we are going to have the engagement with the different parallel sessions, with the panel discussions, please have a clarity in your minds that we need to have one takeaway. We need to bridge this takeaway with the advancement of the curriculum, but at the same time, we need to find out the application of the research. Since we have to set the sensation to the glory, that is only possible when we have the acceptability of the research and we have the application of your academic discourse. We have to travel along ahead, so I wouldn't take more time. So the idea was that I would speak my heart with you. So now I would request to the event secretary to please have the onward procession. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your words of wisdom. Sorry. May I please request Director General Islamabad Rear Admiral Naveed Ahmed Rizvi, Halal-e-Imtiyaz Military, to deliver his welcome address. Rear Admiral Naveed Ahmed Rizvi.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Honorable Chief Guest, His Excellency Ehsan Mustafa Yurdakul, Turkish Ambassador to Pakistan, distinguished guests, faculty, and dear students, Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning. I welcome you all to the third International Conference on Emerging Challenges for Organizations of Developing Economies, which has been organized by the Bahria Business School, Islamabad Campus. It is with great pleasure and honor that I am addressing such an august gathering on this memorable occasion. I would like to thank our honorable chief guest for sparing his valuable time and joining us for this academic conference. We are also thankful to our foreign guests and invited national speakers for their kind presence. Ladies and gentlemen, in line with our vision to contribute towards development of society, our university regularly engages national and international academic community and industry experts to highlight and bring forward solutions to various challenges being faced by the businesses across the globe. Such an approach is even more needed in current times when the pandemic has adversely affected global economies, especially the developing nations at macro and micro levels. This conference is therefore an effort to bring together the best minds to deliberate upon the emerging challenges being faced by the developing economies and contribute towards a well-articulated strategy to mitigate these challenges. In recent times, there has been substantial development made by emerging economies in various critical areas. Visible progress is being made towards the adoption of technology and digital innovation for business solutions. There is a notable improvement in the quality of information and communication flowing within the emerging markets. Good governance that embraces high level of quality control and accountability is being enforced at various levels in many emerging markets, especially during the pandemic era. There is more focus towards building regional connectivity through development of digital and physical infrastructures such as CPAC, ensuring regional growth and sustainability. This conference will definitely provide an opportunity to our national and international speakers to talk about all these developments from an academic and experimental point of view and draw recommendations for businesses and policymakers for the developing economies. Ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to share that Bahria University is fully aware of the challenges, demands of academia and industry at regional and global level and has always tried to meet them with utmost readiness and professionalism. Our goal is to ensure that our academic efforts can produce effective results of betterment of society. We are continuously improving our curriculum at par with international standards, and global accreditations are being sought, including AACSB for the business school. Realizing the importance of maritime economy, there is more focus towards maritime education, including maritime business. I am also glad to share that Bahria University, at the forefront, is conceiving and implementing initiatives and academic programs with support of industry. Development of innovation centers and centers of excellence are steps towards capacity building of the students and faculty members towards applied research and business solutions. To cope with the present challenges, we are striving to develop strong analytical and critical thinking, skills and attitude that would make our graduates more flexible and innovative to deal with uncertainty and crises being faced by the developing economies. This academic conference is thus the continuation of the same efforts to achieve the objectives. In the end, I would like to once again thank you all, and especially our honorable chief guest, participants and audience for their valuable time. I would also like to appreciate the organizers for their dedication in making this conference a reality. I am confident that the conference will achieve its objectives through active participation by audience and all present over here to enable us to come up with pertinent recommendations for the policymakers. I thank you all.
Thank you, sir. I would now start with the keynote address session. It is a privilege for me to invite Dr. Sander Schouwers, professor at Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences, Netherlands, for his keynote speech.
Here in Pakistan, CPEC, a perspective of regional connectivity. And the word connectivity will be my leitmotif, a nice German word for the next speaker, the connectivity, and hence my title, Pakistan Connect. It is only last year that marked an important milestone, 70th anniversary of Sinopak connectivity, again the connection. And in my own little life, I also have been in the mind of CPAC a little bit. It's a bit noisy maybe. It's the C of CPAC, I need to, it's too noisy. There you go. So what I think that's in Monal up there, but I discovered CPAC here, and that really blew my mind. The amount of investment made. So every possible book I can buy at the book exchange or anywhere I buy, I read. I also do it in China and also do it in the West. In the West we don't look too much at CPAC, which is a missed opportunity. And since I've been here for several years now, I conduct a summer school. I hope some of the students, I will meet you again this August. We have a program, but since I got introduced to CPAC, I always try to finish with that as a main theme. So we have I think maybe this way. Technology is not on my side today. There we go. Helicopters with no images. Anyway, there was supposed to be a helicopter saying CPAC event, which I organize every Friday. We do that. And since I've been here now for several years, I feel I'm qualified to call myself a part-time Pakistani. And I do so wholeheartedly. And yes, it's from the heart. And after being here for a while, I got also invited to another country. Yes, it's Chinese. I also work in China now, and thanks. Yep. So for some years now, I've been teaching in Heilongjiang province. That's really in the northeast. And as such now, I also, and look at the smile in the middle, that is a happy lecturer. So I really enjoyed that. And it started with 2 guest things, and before I knew it, I was a part-time dean. Everything's part-time these days. And yes, I'm also now qualified to call myself a part-time Chinese. Because it's May and June I work there, and again in December and January. So that's pretty part-time, I would say. And having those 2 legs to stand on, well balanced, a bit Pakistani, a bit Chinese. I was also in higher education able to merge those. So I have been, another noisy slide, forgive me, up front, if it comes. Yes, it comes. So I was able to bring, noise and pictures, but what is nice is that we bring young students together from both countries, and we were able to plant some seeds. And as an educator in higher education, that is what you want. And I was able to guide some Chinese bachelor students to look east, to look west, to look at Pakistan, and they liked it. And that is what we also can do by providing them a common space where they interact and they do things together. You can study from books and have exams, but you can also work on the soft skills that generate a hard result. That I'm for also. So I call that, my friends, soft connectivity, as my main theme, Pakistan Connect. Working with the both, language has been a barrier, not a barrier, because the English that... guys, I need a little help with the clicking. Yeah. But if you look at language is a kind of wall around the society. And what you can see is that you miss a lot of nuances. And when I'm here, the English that you speak is better than me. At my own computer, I have a document and in the cloud. And for me, English is a second language, like I suppose for most of you as well, with Urdu or other languages that you speak here. But you are better at it, and I think that's the strength of Pakistan. Dr. Awais from the International Office doesn't know this, and we must make sure that he will never hear about this. But he makes beautiful emails, and I see these lines and I think, wow, this is how you use English. And I steal it, I copy it, and I put that in a document. He doesn't know about this, and he should never hear this. But so I think of my stealing document, I think 25% is made in Pakistan. Actually made right here at Bahria. I got a PowerPoint. Yeah, no, not yet. Inshallah. But language is, yeah, there we are. Language is in China not the same, because in China it's really challenging, and they're good at reading, they're good at translating, but they're not good at understanding it. They're not good at listening or speaking themselves. They get very shy, and since COVID started, I had to teach online. That was not easy. If we talk about technologies, and if we talk about look to the East from the Pakistani perspective, take the hardware that they use in account, because they don't use the ecosystems that we are used to. You have to use ding talk, or ding ding as they call it. And you need all kind of a Chinese phone and all kind of characters in it. But from the other side as well, oh, me and the PowerPoint is not the best of friends today, but there you go. And it's, anyway. So, yeah, so 3 critical incidents that happened in one day to me while in China. On the left side, you see everybody's laughing, but believe me, they're laughing at me. What was happening? This was the end closing ceremony, certificate ceremony of an intensive week, and I'm calling forward the students to receive their diploma or their certificate. And this girl needed to be called 5 times by me in Chinese, and she did not understand that I was pronouncing her name. So there was that is being an analphabetic in another. I speak 12, well, I study 12 languages. I speak 7 or 8 of them, and I can email, make phone calls, cry, do PowerPoints in any of those 7 or 8 languages. But pronouncing a Chinese name, I am 0. Then I had to go home to the apartment, and I was driving. That is on the right side. The road signs, I was convinced it was straight, but of course I had to go left. So hours and hours later, I arrived at the restaurant, and there's the family, and they ordered already for me, and there was this smell on the table, and I thought, I don't like it. But anyway, so we had all barbecue and a soup, and I thought, I'm not going to eat that soup. And then slowly I started looking around the place, and everywhere were cartoons of dogs. And then it dawned on me, actually, I thought, this is a dog meat restaurant. And that is what happens to you if you're analphabetic. In China, I'm analphabetic. In Urdu, I had that one phrase, which I will repeat again and again. But, and I think there could be somewhere where Pakistan could give a helping hand. You guys are so good at being nice, about being polite. You have a nice, sympathetic way of communicating. You're very friendly. And that is a strength. That's not the strength that the Chinese have. And I love China, but it's just for internationalizing and globalizing, maybe there Pakistan could help China, because you have what they need. And that is a way to use the new digital platforms we have. This is how I solved it in China. When COVID appeared, of course I couldn't go there anymore, so I had to teach online. And I started to make my PowerPoints completely with Chinese characters. And PowerPoint also has a plugin where you can live translate. It's crap, I can assure you. If you would see it in Urdu, you would laugh non-stop. But it's there, and it gives the impression, but somehow that made language, I could overcome the linguistic divide. So with that in mind, with my restaurant and sad pronouncing names experiences, what could we, because we're here about higher education, what could we do for the Pakistani graduates? And since there are many people of even the Higher Education Commission is also involved, and we have the leadership of the... I permit myself a tiny little bit of a brainstorm, and I was thinking, can't we make a CPEC certificate? And give them credits, because if you don't give students points, they're not interested. So that way, the ones that would like to go east will have, something that we have defined. So culture needs to be part of it. maybe language, but not too much, that's only 8%. But they understand the different technologies, the different ecosystems, the way they communicate, it's different. So if you want people to drive a car, you give them a driver's license. If you want people to work in CPEC, give them a CPEC certificate. I know, I just made it up this morning, but I think it sounds pretty good. I noted that, I don't know what happened yesterday. I saw all the news, there were very serious people and all the channels were looking, and I know there was something really serious with the PM, so I don't know what happened. But what I did notice last week is that he said that in the second phase of CPEC, we're going to, increase the attention to agricultural productivity of Pakistan. Well, looking at the stats, I think this more looks like a dance beat than a steady growing economic curve. So there is a risk to it, and I'm much more inclined to look at what I call the hard connectivity. So we had the soft, now let's get to the real skills. China is wiring the world, and doing that, it's going through Pakistan. Huawei, in trouble in a lot of countries, but not in Pakistan. 8,000 kilometers of optical fiber is going through the country, and this is a backbone. This is such a power that you now will have. And think of it, your internet is not going through India anymore. There are certain advantages to that. However, I think Chinese deeper plan and hidden agenda is not just ending at Gwadar. I think that's also where partly it starts. So this is an opportunity for the Pakistani, because you're on front row. CPEC is the flagship project in Belt Road Initiative, so you should seize that with both hands. So, as the President Arif Alfi said, the future is data. So let that sink in for a moment, because I do agree to that. If we look at data, and if we look at e-commerce, we actually see that growth in projected growth for the next years here in Pakistan is considerable, it's 27%. However, how much money does that represent? And how is it that being paid? And actually, while we're at it, why do we call it e-commerce? Because e-commerce is still the laptop. This e-commerce is actually m-commerce. It's mobile. I think we're going backwards, friends. Yes, I want to go here. So the economy as we know it is smartphone economy. It's not E, it's M. It's M-commerce. And yeah, I already introduced that earlier. If you want to be active in China, there is no Google. There is no Gmail. There is no Google Maps. There is no Facebook. There is no Amazon. There is no Microsoft. There's Microsoft, but no OneDrive, no anything that you would like to use and is part of your usual daily routine does not work. So how are you going to do that? You need WeChat. You need Baidu. You need a lot of other things. How good are the students? Are you aware of Baidu by any chance, or Bilibili? You should check it out, because that is part of your future job, might be there. So for me, it's WeChat. And WeChat is not just a messenger app. WeChat, you can't leave the house without WeChat. It's like leaving your house without your keys. No WeChat, no life. No food, no nothing. I'm a serious coffee drinker, but there's no coffee without WeChat. That you can't get it. So and it's a cashless society in China. So you can even nowadays divorce on WeChat. I do think that's very unethical, and I suppose you find your partner that way as well. What a sadness it is. Where are we going, folks? But anyway, that's the reality. You can even pay a lawyer with WeChat. But I think that's interesting for Pakistan, because China was really underdeveloped financially. In financial tech, they didn't have really a lot of banks. And within a limited amount of years, they completely skipped the bank accounts, they skipped the credit cards. Actually, a credit card doesn't work. There's only a limited amount of ATMs where you can use a Western credit card or any credit card. And then you get a pile of cash just if you want to buy a jacket because it's freezing. So it's on a mountain like this, and then people say, hey, we have somebody paying with cash. And then they get a key and they open, everybody pays by phone. But you can't access the system. I have one. Now, I'm sorry, I'm really thoroughly enjoying this moment. Give me a sec. My Chinese credit card. Gold and red, yeah. This changed my life. It is, if you have that, and you need to have a working permit for that, and a staying permit, and I don't know what permit, but I got it. And then you can have WeChat, pay on your phone. So if you don't have the QR codes, you're lost. No coffee for you. So in China, there is now 4 trillion renminbi, yuan, so about $650 billion, mobile payments 1.5 years ago. The ATMs are completely removed. It's a safari finding one. And then one that also accepts a credit card. So guys, you need to take this into account. If I look at the most recent top 100 Pakistani online stores, cash is king. You pay on delivery, cash on delivery. And that's good. We are a business school, Bahria Business School. On the other hand, if you want to look at the situation in China, there is no cash. It is all digital. It's all smartphone pay. A limited amount is Union Pay or MasterCard and Visa, but those are the expats, like me. So, I read that next year they want to intensify tourism between the People's Republic of China and Pakistan. I can recommend them to go. I tried bringing students here. They loved it. But if you want to give them a seamless experience, give them WeChat. Give them QR codes. They don't know, they don't understand what bills are. They don't know that side of the economy. So I would like to say, and I realize that the State Bank of Pakistan suggested to ban cryptocurrencies, but in the last fiscal year, 711% growth of crypto-related investments here. So you guys are ready for the digital. Maybe you don't want this, but China is now launching its e-yuan, again E, I would say call it M. It's the digital renminbi, the digital Chinese currency. And the nice thing is you don't need bandwidth, you don't need Wi-Fi. You just put the phones together and you can actually pay. So in rural areas, this is the solution. You have the peace cable. You have the 8,000 kilometers of optical fiber cable from China. You get great bandwidth here in Pakistan. You are one of the largest cell phone owning countries in Asia. You're ready. You can jump the whole ATM and you're ahead of my little country. And that could be 2-3 years away from here. So seize that opportunity, I would say. And for higher education, also, take that into account and make curricula look ahead, not to the West. That's yesterday. And I hate to say that as a Westerner. So, my friends, markets move faster than curricula. So, us in higher education, we need to move. Because developing a curriculum takes 1-2 years. You need to do it a few years before it's a good one. So, sure, keep the West. The West is best. But at the same time, being a part-time Chinese as well. You should see how things are developing there. And it's so powerful that smartphone economy, it's there. I saw them bring packages delivered 8 times a day. And they're doing it all from the phone, everything. They divorce on their phone. So yeah, so you should also take that into account. So CPEC is more than, it's not more mangoes. It's more data, like your president has said. And more clickers. Yeah, oops. So what I wanted to say is the world as it was, forget about it. That's post-Second World War. I would love to tell you that Germany, the Netherlands, France, and the UK is king. But we're not. It's now Kazakhstan, and it's much closer. Pak Kazakh is what it is. I know you all want to go to Australia, and if you want to go to China, it's to study medicine and then be a doctor in the UK or America, but maybe also consider the new economies, and that is what ECODE is about, emerging economies. It's right here, smiling at you. And therefore, I would like to say, and I do use the back mirror with Bahria University in respect, because I don't mean it as old-fashioned, but I mean this is a place where actually they are looking ahead. They are organizing these fine conferences like ECODE. But if you're in a car, you don't want to drive looking in your back mirror. You're going to crash. It's going to be bloody. If you want to drive, you want to drive ahead. And therefore, in this case, we're going to Paris, the Triumph Arch, and so let it be a Triumph Arch where you proudly walk under to victory. And it is on that note that I think we are Bahria Business School. So let's enjoy the success and the fruits of all that hard work, and let it be rupee or digital yuan. But my friends, I think globalization can be spelled many ways, but sometimes you should spell it like I did here. Global is Asian, and calibrating the curriculum. You can look to the Western textbooks for another century. They were the ones that colonized in the past. Maybe it's time to also look at new markets. If we look at the digital market, the biggest one is China. It's not the West. So, and if you have CPEC, and if Mr. Khan is often visiting China, it's so easy for him to get a few things arranged and to get you a preference driver's seat, because you're right there. You don't need much to enter. It's so much easier than entering the European Union or anything else. And think of the scales, because now with the new free trade agreement we have, or they have, or you have in the Far East, it is incredible. And if you combine that with the data infrastructure that China is laying out, and this digital Chinese currency, it's going to be a ball. So you need to prepare Pakistan for that game. That is the game that you need to play. Agriculture is wonderful. You do a fine job. It's real good, the best mango in the world. But that's not where the growth is. We saw the stats. It's a boogie. So I would say, help SMEs, help the students to cash in onto this new market. Yeah, chances are loading. Are you going to recognize them, and is university going to give you the lending hand? That's my quest for... I think time is up. I think I took way too much time, but I was so enthusiastic about China, about being back at Bahria. I would like to close by a well-meant Bahat Shukriya. It's been an honor to be here again. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Dr. Sander, for sharing your thoughts with us. Our next keynote speaker is Dr. Nadine Vining, York University, UK. Dr. Nadine Vining started working at the University of York in 2020 as a program leader of MSc Global Marketing and lecturer in marketing. Her research expertise spans across a variety of both qualitative and quantitative studies. Dr. Vining is particularly passionate about researching micro-businesses, their enablers and challenges in various situations. Dr. Nadine.
Assalamu alaikum. And I have to apologize, that's where my language barrier stops. This is my very first time in Pakistan, so first of all I would like to say thank you to the honored guest, to the Excellency, to the university, and for the incredible effort by everyone which went into this lovely conference. I have to take it in for a second. It's lovely standing here and seeing all these really excited, smiling faces in front of you. It's absolutely incredible, and yeah, everyone is looking very dapper today. So, my slides are on, that's great. So I'm a marketing lecturer at the University of York, so hello from York. There we go. What I want to talk about to you guys today, and I try to keep it a bit tight so we stand in the timeline. I've been told this beginning keynote should be on time, and yeah, let's try that. So we're going to be talking about doing business in challenging market environments, and that's particularly important if you think about what we all just went to. COVID, it's the big word in the room, and that kind of inspired me to start a couple of studies. And not just any study. I'm very passionate, as it's just been introduced, in micro and small businesses, because they make up a huge percentage of the businesses in every country. So I'm very particular about that. And it fits in with the whole idea of innovation, and I will explain why. So what I'm going to be talking about today is, first of all, a brief introduction about myself, and I will cover 4 basic studies. 2 of the first ones are studies I'm currently under review in 2 papers I submitted with some colleagues. And the other 2 are actually 2 of my PhD students. One conducted her research in Palestine and one in Bangladesh. And I will explain why I think these are of interest maybe for you guys as well. So, a bit of a background about myself. Originally I'm from Germany, from a tiny town near to the Netherlands border, and you can see the map there. But yeah, that's where I'm from. I very early on in my career moved on to the UK, and I went to UK universities, and I had the great pleasure to move to York and be a lecturer there. My passion about my research, I just want to briefly explain this, comes really from traveling. And my family is a family of entrepreneurs, so my parents are running their own micro business. So I've lived in Taiwan when I was 15 years old. I had the pleasure to be in China and work there a bit, and the same for Australia. And I always had this passion in me, and I keep using this word because I think you can only be a strong academic if you have a passion for it, so you should be researching what you really feel strongly about. So when I started, when COVID hit the UK, a lot of my friends in the UK are micro-business owners, and I sat in the garden with one of my friends with a cup of coffee, and he was telling me about the devastation COVID had an impact on his business. So that's where the first paper idea came from, around rethinking entrepreneurial resilience during COVID times. Because innovation doesn't happen any faster than when people have to adapt to challenging situations. And what was more challenging than COVID hitting some of these businesses overnight? You could argue it was on the news, but everyone kind of thought, at least in the UK, it'll never get to us. It entered Italy, and people were saying, it'll never get to us. And from one day to the next, it hit everyone. So my research is done with two professors, Ignacio and Gary, and two other researchers, Ekaterina and Franzi. Our research study was twofold. So first we looked into panel data, so quantitative data, which we had access to from 2015 to 2018, and did a statistical data analysis of significant factors having a positive impact on the turnover for micro businesses in the fast-moving consumer goods sector. And then we compared those factors by conducting 24 interviews with micro business owners to what was actually working during COVID times for these different businesses. And I tell you this, it wasn't as straightforward as some of the business owners might have hoped. We then finalized the whole thing with a focus group at the end to just eliminate certain questions we still had from the interviews. So from the panel data, it was quite straightforward. 5 key factors which impacted positive turnover for micro businesses were here on the list is investing, which is not really a big surprise. Variety of product offering was a big factor for the fast-moving consumer goods sector. Sales reaching beyond 40 miles. Again, you might think, oh yeah, that makes sense, but in the UK, a lot of business can be quite close by, but if you manage to reach further, that gave you an additional advantage. And the amount of local charity support, so corporate social responsibility, was actually a really important factor for micro businesses who really truly did it authentically. I'm not talking about greenwashing and just kind of slapping it on there. No, people who really truly worked on this. And then the last one was amount of qualified employees, not just cheap labor, but people who were qualified to do the job they were employed for, which should be good news for everyone in this room. So these were the key factors from the panel data. But more interestingly was actually the qualitative data. Sorry for any quants person in the room. 20th of March 2020. That's when the first lockdown hit the UK. That was almost a doomsday, but people didn't know how bad it was. Initially, businesses were told there will be a hard lockdown, so no one is allowed to leave the house except for one walk. And if you have a dog, you're allowed a second walk. So a lot of dog borrowing was going around the country. And then these 3 weeks were extended to 18 weeks. Here are 2 quotes on the slides, if you have the time to have a quick read, but I highlighted some keywords from these business owners, which I think really hit home to kind of paint this picture of the devastation. Because as an academic, we still got paid. You feel sorry for people, but when you really talk to them, that's when the passion comes through. So when COVID hit, sales dropped to about 0% from one day to the next. And the first quote even stated it went into negative sale the week after because customers, B2B customers, were returning product they couldn't sell. So negative sale from one day to the next. The next person highlighted 95% of their business went in 2 hours. And what a better time to then think about innovation. It's when people are being forced, otherwise we get too content and too comfortable. Not that the business owners saw it like that at this point in time. Here are just some of the key findings, and I will highlight some bits and bobs. So the 3 key areas which came out in the interviews were high level of investment, large variety of products still, but there were different approaches, and sales reached further than 40 miles, but reversed. So the most inconsistent one was actually high investment. So initially, before COVID, investing a lot of money was the go-to strategy for businesses to grow, which makes a lot of sense. During COVID, we identified 3 different approaches. One was we called mothballing. So companies actually closed their business because they thought it was only for 3 weeks. And they thought we're going to save on costs, we start renovating the business and do some DIY we haven't done in a long time. Then the next one was they again had an approach to kind of planned investment forward. So they had some strategies in place already, for example, having a website, so digital internal company innovation. And they pulled that forward, and others actually scaled up their business. So instead of having just one strategy before COVID, we started seeing 3 different approaches from business of how to survive. Then large variety of product offering. Again, there were 2 main different approaches. Some reduced their offering because they had no more outlets. The outlets where they were selling their product had to close down, so they had to narrow it down as well. And others went the opposite direction and increased it. And that's highlighted in yellow there, adapting to online platforms. So the whole idea around digital innovation. We know how much small and micro businesses can struggle because they have so few employees and maybe not the skill set and the time to actually focus on these strategic points. But they were forced to go online, so a lot of more engagement happened. Like social media platforms. One of the top social media platforms during COVID for micro businesses in the area I was living in York was Facebook. Businesses started selling their products on Facebook, which was unheard of before COVID. And they're still doing it now, so that seems to be one of the more long-term changes at the moment. And then the sales reach between 40 miles. That's obviously not possible anymore if you're not allowed to travel away from your home. So businesses got very creative. One business started a local shop to support the local community. And other businesses did a click and collect, which we can maybe know from the big supermarkets, but people could order and then come and pick it up and tie it into their normal walk. So that was the rule about it. So after we had done that study, we identified that some of the findings were a bit contradicting or they weren't as consistent. And we did an additional study to identify if there's any more clear pattern. And that's when we broke it up into urban, suburban, and rural businesses. Oh, that was too quick. So the data above the red line is from the panel analysis, and it showed significant differences, especially for rural micro businesses, where a larger product portfolio was very important. The one below is focusing more on the qualitative data. And the key interesting part is, and not too surprising, and even though it's a developed country, is rural micro businesses had a lot more disadvantages. And the key one, which was important and actually very detriment to their success, was investment. Investment was absolutely crucial to get by during the COVID period for businesses. So that's what we kind of focused on. The reason why we did this part of the study is to potentially be able to talk to some of the local governors and make sure that this inequality doesn't happen to the same level and actually support some of these micro businesses and small businesses, and we're in touch with them already. So that was the first part of the 2 studies I was talking about. Now we get to one of my PhD students, and I promise I keep it short, so we should only spend here another 3 or 4 minutes, so bear with me. A student I'm particularly proud of is Ines. Ines looked into challenges of internationalization for Palestine companies in the light manufacturing business. And she did something very interesting. So she interviewed governmental and non-governmental officials in the first phase of her research and asked them, what do you think are the challenges for businesses? And then compared it to what business owners were saying. The reason why that is particularly interesting is you will see there are some differences. There's some overlap, but sometimes there were some differences, which was actually quite important for her to tease out. We made sure she's safe and she didn't have too controversial findings in her PhD. Safety is most important. Again, it's a long table and I'm sorry for that, but I got very excited. The first 2 points were similar between the both groups. So political and financial limitations were very obvious. It's an occupied country. And obviously financial issues around internationalization are always there and there's not as much support. What was starting to get very interesting is when we went into the marketing side of things. Whereas the government was highlighting Palestine is just like light years behind everyone else, the business owners were actually saying there is actually no one there. So the difference between the quality and actually availability was there with 2 groups. When she talked to the government officials, she highlighted the issues around willingness to adapt. So the government and the officials were arguing that businesses weren't very willing to adapt to certain changes when internationalizing. However, when she talked to the businesses, they just said, we don't know how. We need some training how to actually adapt our products to available and the actual help being received. What was, again, very exciting to hear about her research was majority of the micro businesses and small businesses in Palestine are family-run businesses. And everyone who does entrepreneur research into family-run businesses knows it comes with its own problems. Family-run businesses come with a lot of advantages, but a lot of problems we all know from having our own families getting involved in our lives. And these kind of problems were highlighted, but again, there were differences between the government's opinion and the business's opinion. So the government was highlighting the lack of continuity between having these run businesses, and the other issue was highlighted that actually, when we have a family-run business, the elders don't allow the younger people to introduce new skilled people into the business and holding back the development of the actual organization. And then the last thing is recruitment. The government didn't even have any awareness of this issue, but the businesses did. They actually weren't able to recruit very skilled workers because the argument was the skilled workers leave the country. They go abroad and they don't necessarily come back. And I think this might be a problem in a lot of developing countries, but it's almost the wrong way around. Bring the skills back, combine the skills. It isn't one is better than the other. We can all learn from each other. But that was a problem the government wasn't aware of and should probably address in the future to make it more attractive for students to come back, stay in the country, and actually make a change happen. So my last one, and I'm going to run through this a bit faster, is Ahmed. Ahmed looked into social media communication, so digital aspects, and he did an ethnography study for any researchers in the room, and he looked into 2,409 Facebook posts. That's a lot. And he then conducted 12 interviews with small business owners. Key findings were of his social media research, and anyone who wants to have a bit of a talk about this afterwards, come and have a chat, is there were significant differences in the type of communication people were choosing to have with their customers and different levels of engagement. And the mixed orientation of having an emotional communication and a fact-based one, so combining the two, had the biggest impact on loyal customers. So again, very important for marketing your micro and small business. If you don't have the skills, but at least the knowledge, you can start working on it. So, for future studies, I will start looking into more of these shocks which force innovation. That might be something quite interesting. But I think something for the audience to know is, in the UK, there's a huge move at the moment in regards to decolonization of the curriculum. And what that means is, finally, the developed countries realize that our curriculum is very much based on a more developed country viewpoint. And that isn't applicable for everyone else. So they're proactively working at the moment on decolonizing this knowledge set. What this means is there's a huge gap in the market for your research and collaboration with different people abroad to actually show the differences and show what innovation your businesses come up with and share it with businesses in other countries. So decolonizing the academic curriculum was the key word which helped me in my latest job interview. So, tip for all of you guys. Then the last one is, please do what you're passionate about. And these will be my final words. Look around you. This is incredible. We have a face-to-face conference again, and we can have a chat with each other about our passion, our research. So thank you all. I can't speak anymore, but lucky to have to talk to you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nadine, for your insights. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, His Excellency, Mr. Ihsan Mustafa Yurdakul, for his address to the audience.
Thank you very much, Brother Rector. dear academicians of Bahria University, dear visiting scholars, panelists, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. Whenever I come to Bahria University, I always come prepared, but when I see the energy here in the, auditorium, and of course, coupled with the energy of some panelists here, I just will not use my notes to interact with you, but try to speak my heart out. First of all, I would like to thank Bahria University for having me once again in one of their functions, which is very pertinent under the certain circumstances, the challenges after some big transformations going on around the world, and the effects of that to the business in each and every country. So I'm thankful. Thank you very much, sir, for inviting me. It's always a great pleasure. I will limit myself with some couple of observations and notes. I do not have an academic paper to present to you. You can understand that, but I will try to see the things a bit more from a geopolitical or, socio-political perspective. First, COVID. Yeah, COVID was harsh on each and every one of us, every one of our countries. And one of the key aspects of post-COVID era, I think, will be twofold. Onefold on the first hand, now countries are increasingly looking for options which will affect them in the least way when it comes to, global supply chain. Because COVID taught us a hard lesson that, once the supply chain is broken, and once your supply is a bit far away, then you really have some serious problems with the running of your domestic economy. Be it the freight cost, be it the grain cost, be it the cost of anything. It just skyrockets before you know. So one trend I can notice is that now each and every powerhouse around the globe is looking more in the vicinity of the countries, where they will have a more secure, as secure as it can get. Of course, there will always be challenges. A secure supply chain between that particular region and its own powerhouse. In that sense, I see two very, I should say, lucky countries among others. One is Pakistan, being close to China warehouse, so to speak, is and will prove to be a great advantage to Pakistan when it comes to, particularly for the supply chain issues as well. And the second one is, humbly, it is Turkey. Turkey is strategic location, in the heart of 3 continents, and being very close to, European Union. Not only geographically, but also economically and politically. It will, I think, raise the profile of Turkey when it comes to, immediate supply chain issues. The second COVID challenge is employment. I mean, panelists touch upon that. There were some big, serious problems. But there is an even, at least personally, very unexpected issue, which is raised after the COVID, and it is the term Great Resignation. People are just now quitting their jobs, especially in the developed countries. Some people, of course, not everyone, because people, I think, they understood after COVID or during COVID that, well, this life is quite short, and whatever money we will make or we are making, maybe we will not have the life. Secondly, the opportunities to spend it properly. So once they have the health, they have the options, they have the economic, power. Some people, especially in US and in Europe, they just don't prefer to work. They quit and, they try to either, make a flexible way of working and living or not working at all. So these are all new challenges which, especially the business management, people should be, I think, mindful of. Coming to geopolitical and, socio-political issues. Dear Doctor, talk about connectivity, Pakistan Connect. Yeah, there are, I think, two keywords which is directly pertinent to what Pakistan is and what Pakistan, inshallah, would turn out to be in the days and years to come. One is connectivity. Connectivity is key for any kind of development effort in Pakistan, as far as I can see, of course. I'm not a, economic expert or business expert, but I have one thing or two to say about, the overall oversight of what countries and how countries are doing. So this connectivity is very important. It's making me very happy that, the authorities in Pakistan, their awareness is now quite raised about how important this connectivity is. And there are efforts to multiply those connectivity lines, pipelines, cable networks, infrastructure networks, roads, and inshallah in the future Pakistan will see the huge benefit of it. Second thing related in relation with connectivity is the region. It is the regional ownership. Whenever I go to interact with young people around the country in different universities and academicians, this is also my line, I always underline. This is your region. This is our region. And if we do not take good care of our region, nobody will take care of it for ourselves. So this regional ownership, the sense of it, is very important. No one will prioritize your own economic development agendas, other social agendas, unless you seize the opportunity and say to those who are trying to advance their own agendas from a distance, look, enough is enough. This is our region, and for this region, our agenda is there, and we will do this together with the regional countries for a better future together. This is also very important, I think, for Pakistan, for Turkey, for any country in this region. Third, emerging technologies. Yes, we are developing nations. Pakistan is, Turkey is. Some are a bit, ahead. Some are a bit, lagging behind. But this is not important at this stage. What is important is that now there's this phenomenon of new technologies. I'm sure you are all familiar with all those, terms like Internet of Things and big data and this and that. And what I see here is not a challenge but a big opportunity for the developing countries, because this gave us a huge opportunity to close the gap between the already developed countries through using efficiently and being part of this emerging technology boom or emerging technology world, whatever you may call it. So let's seize this opportunity, being Pakistan, being Turkey, being country X, country Y, who is vying to make a strive for development, for a better way of living, for achieving a higher standard. So this is something also that we should all keep in mind. I think we are running out of time, so I should be quitting here. So thank you very much again, Bahria University, for having me. But since it is about connectivity and connection, I couldn't, just quit before saying that if there are two peoples who can easily connect and get in touch with, it is the Pakistani and Turkish people. So we have this great social, basis. So it is up to the younger generation to build on better bridges, better bonds on this very powerful basis. One personal note about connectivity again. I am quite active on the social media. If you are a Twitter user, please do follow me, and let's keep our interaction over that media also. Pakistan, Turkey, Dosti Zindabad. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Your thought-provoking address sets a perfect platform for speakers to deliver their presentations today. May I please request His Excellency Mr. Ehsan Mustafa Yurdakul to distribute shields among our keynote speakers. Shield for Dr. Sanders Showers. Shield for Dr. Nadine Vining. Now, I will request our Honorable Rector, Bahria University, Vice Admiral Retired, Kaleem Shokat Hilale Imtiaz Military, to please present shield to our Chief Guest, Mr. Ehsan Mustafa Yurdakul, as a token of thanks. Thank you very much to all the participants of the opening ceremony today. I want to extend my deep thanks to Honorable Chief Guest, keynote speakers, Rector Bahria University, Director General Islamabad Campus, guest faculty members for joining us today. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Now please proceed for the refreshment. Thank you.